What's up? Today, we're going to talk about how to use the filter when DJing. All right, so we are now in front of the RX2, and I just want to give a quick explanation on what each side of the filter does. High pass is when you allow the highs to pass through. That is why it is called a high pass filter. Low pass is when you allow the low end to pass through. That is why it's called a low pass. So I'll give you an example. So I am now allowing the highs to pass through by slowly turning the filter. And now I'm going to go back and only allow the lows to pass through. So now that you know what the different sides of the filter does, let's talk about some different ways that you can use them to enhance your sets. So as I've talked about in previous videos, I like to combine effects and different elements of the mixer to give a unique sort of flavor and feel to a mix. So here, I use the filter a lot with a reverb or an echo, just a little bit of the filter. Typically a high pass does really well just to remove some of that low end, add a little bit more of a different effect than EQing on the mixer itself. Gives a real unique effect. I also like to do this if I'm going into a song with a big impact or an edit with a big impact, kind of like a stinger edit that really kind of freezes the room. I'll use a high pass with a reverb to give a cool little effect as well. Another thing that I'll do is I'll actually use the filter to bring in a song instead of volume sometimes. I barely use this, but it is cool, especially if you're spinning house. A lot of the times, if I use the low pass filter paired with a little bit of EQ, it allows a nice little gradual increase in the volume and brings in the track in a very gentle way. And that gives you a nice little gradual transition effect if you're looking to do something a little bit different than a standard volume up with some EQing. Another way you can use the filter is to actually add tension in a song. This is good with a lot of like house tracks with a lot of build-ups that are long and maybe there's some low end in there and you have a system that has a very large sub output. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna slowly bring this high pass in and there'll be next to no low end at all. And then on the drop, then I'll release the high pass and then let all that low end come in.
Soldier boy.
And the very last tip I have for using the filter is to actually utilize the filter to help with your MCing and when you're talking on the mic. A lot of times I see people just use the volume fader. They'll just cut it down when they talk, put it back up, down, up, down, up. And that can kind of dead the vibe if you're really just cutting the volume and totally just getting rid of the song altogether. So I recommend actually mixing it up, maybe using the volume fader for a couple times when you're talking. If you're someone that likes to use the mic a lot, you can then use the low pass filter to actually let your voice come through and still let some of that low end, like maybe if you have a kick or something, that kick is still driving then while you're talking. So I'll give you an example here of while I'm talking on the mic while using the filter. So if I'm just sitting there just it can get a little bit like the music can kind of be deaded out. So while I'm talking on the mic here, I'm just going to turn this low pass down. And my voice is still coming through, but what's happening is you can still get kind of a groove going while you're talking on the mic. This is great because people, if they're still dancing, they can you could kind of still get a little bit of back and forth on the dance floor. People will still be moving while you're talking on the mic, which is really nice. It gives people kind of a tempo to follow, which is much better than just cutting your volume fader altogether, and then people have nothing to go off of. Alrighty, ladies and gents, that does it for today's video. Hopefully you learned something new. If you did, make sure to like, subscribe, all of that good stuff, and let me know in the comments down below maybe what kind of videos you want to see in the future, any sort of guests you would like to hear from. I think my dog is crying right now. What the f? And I really want to start catering these videos to your guys' requests. I really want this to be a all-encompassing resource that's free for DJs to go to, and producers, or anyone for that matter, if they want to learn some things about DJing or producing. But until the next video, take it easy, and I'll talk to you soon.